Good afternoon, 6-4 parents. Mr. Hagedorn here with our weekly update. We have a 4-day week next week. No school on Monday for Memorial Day. In Math 6 Plus, we just finished up our last 6th grade unit, Unit 8, this week. We will be briefly starting our last 7th grade unit. We're just going to spend a couple days on that, and then we'll get back to it after EOGs. It's just kind of a repeat of rational numbers. We're just going to throw in some multiplying and dividing of those rational numbers. And then we will start our EOG review on Thursday. We're just going to start looking at the EOG released test on Thursday and Friday. And then we'll use that test to do a bunch of small group stuff and make sure we're all comfortable for the EOGs the next couple weeks. All right, Math 6, we are just finishing up Unit 8. Students will have Tuesday to work on their study guide. We'll take that quiz on Wednesday, and then same thing, we'll start EOG review Thursday, Friday by looking at that released EOG test before we get into some small group stuff. Have a great weekend. Looks like some beautiful weather for our long weekend, and we'll see you on Tuesday.
Hi there. To all the band parents, I just want to say I really enjoyed the concert last night. It was a lot of fun. The kids did amazing. I also want to remind folks that the Lit Circle books need to be finished completely by next Friday. That's going to be our last Lit Circle meeting. And after that, we've started EOG review, but we're gonna start like hitting it like really every single class period until the EOG starting next week. No, I'm sorry, the week after that. And then what else? Oh, comprehension quiz has been moved from next Friday to next Thursday. I had to switch some things around. And so in summary, books need to be finished by next Friday, the 30th. That's our last Lit Circle meeting. And then we're having a comprehension quiz on Thursday instead of Friday next week. Thanks so much. You guys have a wonderful weekend.
All right, 6-4 families. We started space this week. We started with the part 1 of space, which is what kids don't often refer to as space, is with predictable patterns. We spent some time this week looking at what causes night and day, what causes seasons, what causes the tides, eclipses, and moon phases. So those 5 things we've been looking at, and we'll look at those a little bit deeper next week. We're going to finish the brochure we started today on Tuesday. On Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we're going to be messing with different scenarios, meaning like you wake up one day and the Earth has 2 moons. What would happen differently based on what happens currently with 1 moon? We're going to be investigating different scenarios next week that are in line with that type of thinking. So we're going to change the variables and see whether variables would change with it. Other than that, we're just going to continue that. Good news is, from now until the end of the year, we have 0 EOG prep in science.
8th grade. 8th grade EOG for science. Okay, hey, social studies. We are still working on our unit on decline. We kind of started it right at the beginning to middle of this week. And so we're talking about what leads to the decline of civilization. So we've gone over kind of some basic definitions of that and understanding the basic ideas like geographic factors and political factors and economic factors of decline. And now we're starting to get into some examples of civilizations that have gone through decline. So we've talked about the rise and fall of the kind of Mesopotamian civilization. We talked a little bit about Indus River Valley civilization the last couple of days. Right now, we're kind of starting to dip our toe into the Maya, Inca, and Aztec civilizations and what led to their decline. Next week, we're also going to start introducing them to some people like Alexander the Great, some big things where the empire gets really big and then falls away. The Mongols, really big and then falls away. And then, of course, we kind of end with the most probably best known example of fall of civilization. We'll talk about the fall of the Roman Empire a little bit. And so we'll be done with that. And then, of course, we get into, like I said last week, the Middle Ages, the Renaissance, and the Reformation, which kind of carries us all the way through the end of the year. Once again, like Mr. O said, no EOG in social studies, but we will, of course, help and aid in all of the reading that they're going to be doing in the reading EOGs. Enjoy the weekend, long one. We'll see you next week.